Jonathan and Susie felt that Joni's response suggested a deliberate effort to protect Pete and minimize the scandal, as opposed to taking necessary steps to ensure justice for their daughter. In their eyes, this reluctance to report the incident to the police was not merely an oversight, but a strategic move to avoid a public scandal that could tarnish the family's image and Daystar's reputation. They believed that Joni's advice was driven more by the desire to maintain control over the narrative and safeguard the family's standing, particularly in the eyes of Daystar's large Christian audience, rather than any concern for the welfare of the alleged victim. Joni, however, has consistently denied these accusations. She maintains that she did not attempt to cover anything up but rather believed the situation could be resolved through family discussion and prayer, a stance that further alienated her from her son and daughter-in-law. She argued that there was no need to involve the authorities, as she believed the incident to be a misunderstanding that could be cleared up within the family. In her view, it was not about protecting Pete, but rather about preserving family unity and resolving what she perceived as a miscommunication. The conflicting perspectives have only deepened the sense of betrayal felt by Jonathan and Susie. They argue that Joni's refusal to allow a formal investigation to take place is indicative of an attempt to shield the family from the truth, and they felt that the absence of any legal action left the victim without the justice they deserved. Furthermore, the Lambs have pointed to Joni's decision to call a family prayer meeting as further evidence of a cover-up. During the meeting, Joni reportedly received what she described as a divine revelation that Pete was innocent, which led to her dismissing the accusations as false. Jonathan and Susie viewed this as a clear indication that Joni prioritized family reconciliation over uncovering the truth of what had actually happened. As the dispute continued, the allegations of a cover-up were magnified by the public nature of the feud. The involvement of the media and Daystar's legal team only heightened the perception of a deliberate attempt to silence the accusations. The Lambs' claims of a cover-up have resonated with some who see the handling of the situation as part of a broader pattern of denial within powerful families or organizations that value reputation over accountability. On the other hand, Joni's insistence that the family acted out of a desire to protect peace within the family and resolve matters privately highlights the deep divide that exists not only between the Lambs but also between their differing values and priorities. The Ross Report's investigation into the allegations surrounding the Lamb family has become a focal point in the ongoing public dispute. The publication, known for its investigative journalism, began its inquiry after receiving claims from Jonathan and Susie Lamb about the handling of the abuse allegations involving their daughter. The Lambs accused Joni and other family members of covering up the incident to protect Daystar's reputation and avoid a scandal that could damage the family's influence within the Christian community. The Ross Report took these accusations seriously, launching an in-depth investigation to determine whether there was any truth to the claims. The investigation involved gathering multiple accounts from the Lamb family members, including Jonathan, Susie, and Joni, as well as other key figures within Daystar. The Ross Report's team also examined the timeline of events, focusing particularly on the actions taken or not taken by the Lambs after the alleged abuse incident. One of the primary focuses of the investigation was the alleged cover-up, with particular attention paid to the family's reluctance to involve law enforcement or to pursue a formal investigation into the matter. According to Jonathan and Susie, after they discovered what they believed was an assault on their daughter, they were advised by Joni not to report the incident to the police. This lack of urgency and reluctance to involve the authorities stood in stark contrast to the actions that Jonathan and Susie felt were necessary to protect their child. The abuse allegations at the heart of the Lamb family controversy began when Jonathan and Susie Lamb accused a family member, Pete, of sexually assaulting their daughter during a 2021 vacation at a Daystar-owned beach house. The couple claims that Pete, a close relative, was found in a room with their daughter, who was allegedly changing her clothes at the time. After confronting Pete, they later learned from their daughter that she had been sexually assaulted, a claim that they believe was part of a troubling pattern of behavior by Pete. These allegations were not immediately reported to the police, however, and the Lambs' decision to keep the situation within the family became a focal point of public scrutiny. The tension within the family deepened when Joni Lamb, the matriarch of Daystar and the mother of Jonathan, became involved in the dispute. According to Joni, the situation was blown out of proportion and misrepresented by her son and daughter-in-law. She strongly denied any assault had taken place and accused Jonathan and Susie of merging two separate incidents into a false narrative. Joni further claimed that her granddaughter's recollection of events was inconsistent, casting doubt on the legitimacy of the abuse claims. She insisted that Pete's actions had been mischaracterized and that no assault had occurred. This public divergence in accounts, Joni's steadfast denial versus Jonathan and Susie's accusations, ignited a fierce family conflict. The dispute quickly became more complicated when Joni reportedly discouraged her son and daughter-in-law from involving the police, suggesting that the matter could be resolved privately within the family. This advice, which Jonathan and Susie viewed as a cover-up, led to further tension. They accused Joni of prioritizing Daystar's public image over the safety and well-being of their daughter. Joni, however, maintained that she acted with good intentions, believing the situation could be resolved without legal intervention. As the Lamb family wrestled with conflicting perspectives on the incident, public opinion became polarized. Jonathan and Susie felt isolated in their pursuit of justice, especially as they alleged that the family attempted to suppress the truth. On the other hand, Joni's defense of Pete, based on her belief that the allegations were fabricated or misunderstood, only deepened the rift within the family. The accusations against Pete and the lack of any immediate official investigation added further complexity to the matter, as the Lamb family struggled to reconcile their personal relationships with the severe nature of the accusations being made. This breakdown in trust within the family, compounded by public and legal scrutiny, set the stage for an ongoing saga that would unfold over the following years. The cover-up claims surrounding the abuse allegations have been a central point of contention in the Lamb family's public feud. Jonathan and Susie Lamb accused Joni and other family members of attempting to suppress the truth and protect their reputation, rather than addressing the abuse allegations head-on. According to the Lambs, after they discovered what they believed was an assault on their daughter, they immediately confronted Pete, a close family member, about his actions. However, their concerns were not met with the urgency they expected. When they brought the matter to Joni Lamb, they alleged that instead of supporting them, she discouraged them from involving law enforcement, urging them to handle the situation privately within the family. The investigation also uncovered discrepancies in the accounts provided by different members of the Lamb family. Jonathan and Susie maintained that the abuse was serious and needed to be addressed by the authorities, while Joni painted a different picture, suggesting that the incident had been misunderstood and that there was no need for police involvement. The conflicting narratives from both sides only fueled the tension and suspicion surrounding the case. The Ross Report's investigation highlighted these contradictions, underscoring the complexities and the deep rift within the Lamb family regarding how the situation had been handled. Another critical aspect of the investigation was the report that an internal investigation had been initiated at Daystar, but was allegedly shut down before it could make any substantial progress. A forensic counselor who had been assigned to look into the matter claimed that her efforts were obstructed, raising further concerns about the Lamb family's involvement in suppressing the truth. The Ross Report questioned why such an investigation would be halted if the allegations were truly unfounded, and whether the Lambs were more interested in protecting the family's public image than seeking justice for the alleged victim. Throughout its coverage, the Ross Report emphasized the importance of transparency and journalistic integrity, arguing that the public had a right to know the full extent of what had transpired. The publication maintained that its reporting was based on careful investigation and the gathering of multiple perspectives, and it stood by its findings, despite the Lamb family's objections. Joni Lamb, in turn, denied the claims made by the Ross Report, accusing the publication of spreading falsehoods and working with unreliable sources. She argued that the allegations were part of a smear campaign orchestrated by Jonathan and Susie, intended to tarnish her family's reputation. The Ross Report's investigation has become a critical part of the ongoing narrative, as it has played a significant role in keeping the story in the public eye. Despite the Lamb family's legal threats and attempts to discredit the publication, the Ross Report has continued to assert its commitment to providing factual, unbiased reporting. The publication's refusal to retract or amend its articles has added fuel to the fire, deepening the public scrutiny of the Lamb family and their handling of the abuse allegations. As the investigation unfolds, it remains to be seen whether the truth will ultimately emerge, and whether the Lamb family will be held accountable for their actions or inactions surrounding the case. The legal repercussions stemming from the controversy surrounding the Lamb family and the allegations of abuse have been significant and far-reaching, especially considering the high-profile nature of the case. The legal battle began in earnest when Daystar Television Network, through its attorney Michael D. Anderson, issued a formal request for the Ross Report to retract or amend the accusations it had published regarding the alleged abuse and cover-up. Anderson's letters, sent to the publication via social media platforms, emphasized that the allegations were baseless and unfounded, accusing the Ross Report of engaging in a smear campaign against the Lamb family. The legal demands set the stage for a protracted and bitter confrontation between the media outlet and Daystar, with each side accusing the other of defamation and recklessness. The Lamb family, through Daystar's legal team, argued that the accusations made in the Ross Report were not only inaccurate but also defamatory. Anderson's correspondence outlined that the publication's portrayal of the events was misleading, citing the lack of credible evidence to support the claims of abuse and cover-up. Daystar's legal strategy involved demanding a retraction of the articles by a specific deadline, warning that failure to do so would result in legal action. The threat of litigation raised the stakes considerably, with both parties preparing for a potential courtroom battle. The focus of the legal argument from Daystar's side was to refute any suggestion of wrongdoing and to protect the family's reputation, as well as the integrity of their influential media network. In response, the Ross Report's legal team, led by attorney Christine Jones, issued a strong rebuttal, reaffirming the publication's commitment to its journalistic integrity. Jones argued that the accusations were based on credible sources, and that the publication had acted in the public interest by reporting on the Lamb family's actions. She emphasized that the articles were the product of thorough investigative work, with careful attention to multiple perspectives and a balanced approach to presenting the facts. The Ross Report's defense was rooted in the principle of the First Amendment and the right to report on matters of public concern. Jones made it clear that the publication would not back down from its position, standing by its reporting despite the threats of legal action. The legal tensions escalated further when Daystar's team made clear that additional legal consequences would follow if the Ross Report did not retract the allegations. This threat of further litigation was compounded by the suggestion that the publication could be held liable for damages, with Anderson warning of potential legal accountability for spreading false and defamatory statements. As the dispute intensified, the focus shifted to the question of whether the Ross Report's articles could be deemed legally harmful to the Lamb family and Daystar's reputation. The prospect of a lawsuit raised questions about the boundaries of journalistic responsibility, particularly when reporting on sensitive issues involving influential families and organizations. While Daystar sought to protect its image and avoid the long-term damage that could result from a protracted legal battle, the Ross Report argued that its investigative work was in the public interest and warranted protection under freedom of the press laws. The public nature of the dispute, combined with the serious allegations of abuse and cover-up, ensured that the legal proceedings would attract considerable media attention and further complicate the already volatile situation. As the legal process continues, the case highlights the intersection of media responsibility, family dynamics, and the potential legal consequences of investigative journalism. The outcome of the legal proceedings could set a precedent for how similar cases are handled in the future, especially when powerful families and institutions are involved. At the heart of the issue is whether the Lamb family and Daystar can effectively prove that the Ross Report's coverage was defamatory or reckless, or if the media outlet will be able to demonstrate that it acted in the public interest by bringing these allegations to light. The legal repercussions will likely continue to unfold in the coming months, with the potential to further impact the public's perception of both the Lamb family and the Daystar network. Daystar Television Network, a prominent Christian television channel founded by Marcus and Joni Lamb, has played a central role in the unfolding controversy surrounding the allegations of abuse and the subsequent cover-up claims. As one of the largest Christian broadcasting networks in the world, Daystar has wielded significant influence within the religious community and beyond. This influence was a key factor in shaping the narrative surrounding the Lamb family and the accusations made against them. The network's involvement became especially prominent after the allegations were made public, as Daystar sought to defend the Lamb family's reputation and maintain the credibility of their ministry. Daystar, through its legal team, swiftly moved to address the claims published by the Ross Report. The network's response was aggressive, with a clear focus on protecting the Lamb family from what they considered defamatory and damaging accusations. The legal correspondence from Daystar emphasized the network's commitment to transparency and its belief in the Lamb family's innocence. By actively engaging in the legal battle, Daystar positioned itself as the primary defender of the Lamb family's honor, and the network's leadership became key players in the ongoing dispute. The Lamb family's public statements, often relayed through Daystar's media channels, further emphasized their denials of the allegations, presenting themselves as victims of a smear campaign. The network's role in this situation also extended to its public relations efforts. Daystar used its platform to present a counter-narrative, emphasizing the family's long-standing commitment to the Christian faith and their charitable work. By framing the situation as an attack on their ministry and the values they espoused, Daystar sought to rally support from its viewers and followers. The network's media reach provided them with a powerful tool to sway public opinion, and the Lamb family's defenders leveraged the platform to discredit the accusations. The use of the network to directly communicate with millions of viewers was a strategic move that allowed Daystar to shape the discourse surrounding the allegations in real time. At the same time, Daystar's involvement in the legal proceedings underscored the intricate relationship between the network and the Lamb family. The family's personal and professional lives were intertwined, and Daystar became an extension of their public persona. As the controversy grew, the network's leadership was often depicted as taking on a dual role, defending both the Lamb family and the larger mission of Daystar. In this context, Daystar's role became increasingly complex. While it was primarily a broadcasting entity, it also became a vehicle for the family's defense and an active participant in the efforts to quell the damage caused by the allegations. However, Daystar's involvement was not without criticism. Some critics argued that the network's response was more focused on protecting the family's image and financial interests than on addressing the legitimacy of the allegations themselves. The Lamb family's considerable wealth, bolstered by the success of Daystar, made the network's role in the controversy a point of scrutiny. Detractors suggested that Daystar was using its media influence to deflect attention from the core issues and to silence dissenting voices. The network's legal efforts to quash any negative reporting raised questions about the boundaries of free speech and the role of media in the public sphere, particularly when powerful religious figures are involved. Additionally, Daystar's attempts to control the narrative led to an ongoing tension between the network and independent journalists. As the Ross Report and other media outlets continued their investigative work, Daystar's media empire became a focal point of the struggle over information dissemination. The network's influence over its own programming and the audience it cultivated was evident, but it also came under fire for potentially using its platform to suppress unfavorable coverage. This dynamic highlighted the challenges faced by journalists and media organizations in holding powerful figures accountable, especially when those figures have the means to control the narrative through their own media channels. Daystar's involvement in the abuse allegations and the ensuing legal and public relations battles has had long-term implications for the network's image. While the Lamb family and Daystar leadership continue to assert their innocence and the integrity of their ministry, the controversy has raised broader questions about the role of media in shaping public perceptions of high-profile religious figures. The network's actions, both in terms of legal defense and media strategy, have ensured that Daystar remains at the center of the ongoing debate, a situation that may continue to evolve as legal and public scrutiny intensifies. The reopening of the investigation into the allegations against Marcus and Joni Lamb, following years of legal battles and public scrutiny, marked a pivotal moment in the case. Initially dismissed by many as part of a smear campaign, the case gained new momentum as a result of mounting pressure from both the public and certain members within the Christian community. Several factors contributed to the reopening, not the least of which was the increasing number of voices calling for accountability and transparency within the church and religious media landscape. A renewed interest in the case was sparked when new evidence came to light, including corroborative testimonies from individuals previously reluctant to speak out. Some of these individuals were former employees of Daystar, who began to share their experiences and provide additional context to the allegations. Their accounts suggested a more systemic issue within the network, pointing to a culture of silence and complicity that extended beyond just the Lamb family. These revelations were crucial in reigniting the investigation, as they painted a picture of a power structure that had been actively working to suppress any negative information about the Lambs and their ministry. In response to this new evidence, law enforcement and legal authorities reopened the investigation with a renewed sense of urgency. The revisiting of the case was seen as necessary to address the growing public concern about the role of powerful religious figures in controlling and manipulating narratives to protect their own interests. The investigation focused not only on the initial allegations of abuse, but also on whether the Lambs had used their position and resources to hinder justice or obstruct the legal process. This aspect of the case brought attention to the broader issues of power, influence, and the way religious figures can leverage their platforms to shield themselves from scrutiny. The reopened investigation was also marked by a shift in how the case was approached. Previously, legal efforts had largely focused on denying the allegations and protecting the Lamb family's reputation. However, with the new evidence and the added public pressure, authorities took a more thorough and independent approach, scrutinizing all aspects of the case. Investigators began to piece together a timeline of events that had been obscured by the network's initial legal defenses and public relations campaigns. They re-examined witness statements, cross-referenced accounts, and conducted interviews with individuals who had previously been hesitant to come forward. As the investigation progressed, there was a growing sense that this was not just a legal matter, but a cultural moment, one that challenged the power structures within the Christian media world. The renewed focus on the case also sparked broader conversations about accountability and transparency in religious organizations. It called into question the ways in which churches and religious networks can sometimes shield their leaders from facing consequences for alleged wrongdoing. This shift in public perception played a crucial role in keeping the investigation alive, with many members of the public, including those within the faith community, demanding that the truth be brought to light, no matter the cost. The Lamb family's response to the reopening of the investigation was mixed. Publicly, they continued to deny all allegations, maintaining their innocence and accusing their critics of attempting to destroy their ministry. Behind the scenes, however, legal teams worked tirelessly to mitigate the potential fallout from the renewed investigation. The Lambs sought to discredit the new evidence, framing it as the result of disgruntled former employees with personal grievances or ulterior motives. This strategy, however, became increasingly difficult to maintain as more credible sources came forward. In the legal arena, the reopened investigation led to an expanded set of charges and a broader scope of inquiry. Law enforcement agencies examined whether any actions taken by the Lambs or Daystar violated the rights of the alleged victims, and if so, whether there was sufficient evidence to bring criminal charges. The investigation also began to explore the financial and organizational ties between Daystar and other affiliated entities, as well as the influence that the network's media empire had over public opinion during the earlier stages of the case. As new details emerged, the investigation grew in complexity, taking on both legal and social dimensions as it became a focal point for debates about the intersection of religion, power, and accountability. The reopening of the investigation reignited public interest and continued to raise important questions about the role of media organizations in shaping the narratives surrounding powerful figures. It also signaled that, despite the initial efforts to bury the story, there were significant obstacles ahead for the Lamb family and Daystar. With the investigation continuing to unfold, the outcome remained uncertain, and many watched closely, hoping for a resolution that would hold those involved accountable and bring clarity to a case that had remained shrouded in secrecy for so long.